And we welcome you to the SEC on ESPN. Colonial Life Center is alive tonight as the #1 ranked Kentucky Wildcats, brimming with confidence, come to Columbia with a bullseye on their back and riding a 14-game winning streak. 2 years ago, right here, the Gamecocks pulled off the improbable upset of a top-ranked Kentucky team, 68-62. The only win in South Carolina history over a top-ranked squad. Can they rekindle that magic and do it again tonight? We're about to find out. The SEC on ESPN and our matchup. The Gamecocks of South Carolina on their home floor here in Columbia against the top-ranked team in the country, Kentucky, off to an 8-0 start in SEC play. Welcome, everybody. Brad Nessler along with Jimmy Dykes. Well, Jimmy, the preseason prognosticators predicted Kentucky to win their 45th SEC title this year. We're heading into the second half of the season, partner, and the question now is, can anybody catch them?
Well, first of all, I don't think they're going to lose at home. So if they're going to get stung, it's going to be on the road. And #1 on the road is always an interesting ball game. I think Kentucky right now is still only about 75–80%, Brad, of where they're going to be at the end of the season. That's a strong statement to the rest of the SEC. But again, this is a young team. How well focused are they, again, on the road against a team that they should beat?
It's the second time they've been #1 this year. And speaking of ones, let's go one-on-one.
Well, John Calipari has been the master over the years at coaching #1 ranked teams and making sure that they don't let that #1 beside the name bother them. So this is a guy that understands motivation and how to get teams to perform when they're going to get their best shot given to them. That's going to happen again today. Can John Calipari convince his guys one more time, I need your best effort. This is a 1-6 team, South Carolina. They're going to bring it. And if you're Darren Horn, 1-8 all-time versus #1 ranked teams in South Carolina. Can Darren Horn convince his team that's 1-6 right now in this league to take down the #1 team overall? Motivation by both coaches, different messages. Messages have been sent. Have they been received?
Take a look at the starting lineups for the Kentucky Wildcats. Teague and Lamb in the backcourt, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Terrence Jones, and Anthony Davis, the sensational shot blocker up front. On the other side for the hometown team, Bruce Ellington and Damian Leonard are in the backcourt. DeMontre Harris, Anthony Gill, and Malik Cook on the front line. And here's your coaches in his 3rd season, John Calipari as the head man at Kentucky. And Darren Horn in his 4th year and struggling this season. But as he told us at the shoot-around today, we have got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Our officials, Bert Smith, C.J. Washington, Joe Lindsay is the man with ball in hand of the SEC on ESPN on this Saturday night. Set to go.
Right again, Kentucky has already put it on South Carolina in Rupp Arena. And it's so difficult to keep a young team focused and for the message to be received. And has Kentucky absorbed it? Because you know South Carolina's going to bring it all.
That game at Rupp Arena back on January 7th. And actually, South Carolina played Kentucky as well as anybody with the exception maybe of Alabama at Rupp Arena. We've got a foul in the opening 24 seconds. Bruce Ellington's a guy that South Carolina does not want to get in foul trouble. He's their leader at the point. They played a good early portion of the season without him when he was on Steve Spurrier's football team here in Columbia. And here's one of the best free throw shooters in the conference at the stripe. Deron Land, #3 in free throw shooting. And he's got our opening point.
Brad, he's shooting 46% from the three-point line. And this is a Kentucky team that's hard to zone them. When they get to that 3rd or 4th pass in this ball game, I think they're going to have a lot of good looks.
Opening 2 from the stripe from Deron Lamb. And now a little bit of backcourt pressure applied by Kentucky. Teague and Gilchrist try to come up with a trap. They do. They force the turnover, and Terrence Jones will flush it home. Kentucky will make you pay if you turn it over, and they did right there.
I mean, almost like South Carolina didn't expect Kentucky to press, like they haven't seen it on film. That's how unorganized they were in the first possession.
Lob underneath, backdoor cut. Tough pass to handle, but they did get the foul underneath as DeMontre Harris will go to the line.
Kentucky opens up with a tight 2-2-1. Look at that, Brad. 4 guys forming a rectangle within about 20 feet of each other. And South Carolina tried to attack it by going right to the middle of the rectangle. That will not work.
DeMontre Harris fouled by Terrence Jones. Will get a couple. He's been a good free throw shooter, but not that time.
He's been their best player probably the last couple of weeks. At least the last couple of ball games on film. He's active. Makes a lot of length plays. He cannot get in foul trouble in this game, or it will be lights out.
Played very well in the loss to Florida earlier this week. Had 12 points, 9 rebounds, and matched his career high with 6 block shots. He got 1 out of 2 from the stripe. Lamb on a 3. And Deron Lamb out to a 5-point game already. There's another South Carolina turnover. Lobbed underneath. Kidd-Gilchrist had it swiped away and landed on the baseline. Kentucky turnover.
Man, South Carolina loose with the basketball, though. First 90 seconds of this game. Kentucky's so good at making those over-the-top plays. Pass just a little short.
Darren told us today at the shoot-around, he said, if we have 16 or 17 turnovers, we better hit about 10 threes or we're in trouble. They're off to a bad start in the turnover category, and they just missed a 3 right there.
That's how South Carolina can stay in this game. Get on the offensive glass.
That was a nice drive.
Kentucky's first shot defense, solid. But you have to keep these guys in gray off that backboard. Brad, that's a 2-3 zone, but after the first pass, they start matching and switching like man-to-man out of it. Just cut it to death and get on the glass if you're Kentucky.
Davis, tough play on the baseline and drew the foul. Well, it was pretty good defense, but Harris picks up his first personal. As you just said, he's a guy they can't allow to get in foul trouble.
Well, South Carolina doesn't double down on Anthony Davis, so you're forcing your best inside guy, Harris, to play one-on-one with this big cat.
He's leading the country in block shots, 6th in field goal percentage. He's a good free throw shooter. That's his first points. 6'10" freshman out of Chicago.
I know
he's a game changer.
Yes, he's a game changer, and he is quickly climbing his way up to that overall National Player of the Year. I stamped him the National Defensive Player of the Year 6 weeks ago. Now he's gaining ground in that other race.
He's in the midseason Wooden Award list, which is cut down to 25 already, as is Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. So Kentucky's got a couple of guys on that prestigious list, and both are freshmen. Ellington's going to take it from the outside, and it blocked by Teague. Teague ahead of Terrence Jones. Lamb open for 3. Got it.
A timeout, huh? Probably right now, and there Darren Horn has to go to it early because he knows #1 ranked team in the country is as explosive and as balanced as we have in the college game right now. When Kentucky gets a turnover, they run to scoring spots. Look at that ball up the sidelines, and there's Deron Lamb. Deron Lamb's one of his favorite spots is that left corner as a right-handed shooter. Makes him pay.
8 points of Kentucky's 12 belonging to Deron Lamb here early. Ellington being hounded by Teague. Gill gets his first touch. Baseline jumpers blocked by Kidd-Gilchrist. Came free to Ellington. Extra pass underneath, and a good one to Demontre Harris.
See, that's a 2-3 alignment. If they are really going to match and just start switching from this point on. If Kentucky just runs their motion and their man-to-man offense, they'll be fine.
Harris had it knocked out of his hands and almost stolen by Malik Cook. Teague from the free throw line. If Teague had 4 more points overall on the season, Kentucky would have 6 players averaging in double figures. It's never happened at the end of a season for the Wildcats to have that statistic. 6 guys in doubles. He's just under at 9.8.
Ellington has to get fouled. He has only taken 9 free throw attempts. This kid with the basketball in SEC play. He's a football player. He's built to take contact and give contact. How does he only have 9 free throws so far?
Nice cut in the paint, double team down low, but it's open for 3 on the baseline, and it goes for Malik Cook. Only a 31% three-point shooter, but that one, the rim helped him out a little bit, and that cuts it down to 6.
Kentucky's at 21 on the shot clock, and they haven't even gotten into their offense yet.
Marcus Teague barking out the orders, finally gives it up to Terrence Jones, and he's just going to drive inside, and he's fouled. And if it's Harris, it's 2. Let's see. It is on DeMontre Harris. Not good news for South Carolina. Kentucky off to a wicked start here. 15-21 till halftime. The #1 Cats rolling in Columbia.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Volvo. Pay nothing to repair or maintain your new Volvo for the first 5 years.
Coming up tonight on ESPN, we got a Big 12 showdown between 2 of the top teams in the country. Thomas Robinson leading 8th ranked Kansas against #4 Missouri. Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV. At 9 o'clock tonight, coverage starts with College Game Day, covered by State Farm as soon as we are done. We got a ways to go, though. 14-8 right now. Jimmy takes you inside the play.
Anthony Gill, a freshman, makes a scouting report mistake. This foot should be here, and this foot should be right there, Brad. You got to square him up. You cannot let Terrence Jones go left. You have to get on his left and force him to go right. And that's a scouting report mistake. You have to shade that left shoulder and make #3 beat you going another direction.
And the secondary defender was DeMontre Harris, and he's got 2 fouls, and
Absolutely.
He's the guy you said couldn't get in foul trouble. So he's out probably the rest of the half, and Carlton Geathers has come in to take his spot on the front line for South Carolina. Meanwhile, Terrence Jones goes to the free throw line. Preseason choice as SEC Player of the Year. Hasn't had the kind of statistics a lot of people maybe expected, but that's because they move it around so well. And as I mentioned, 5 guys averaging in double figures. He's 20th in the conference in scoring and 13th in rebounding. And he's got 3 points here tonight. Again, Kentucky pressing. Brenton Williams in the lineup at the point now for South Carolina. And a whistle and a foul. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. That's his first.
Kentucky has been so good at not fouling. They can defend every part of the floor except when a guy goes to the free throw line. Calipari knows it, and his goal is to go in each half at the end of the game, not in the bonus.
5 minutes in, Kentucky leading by 7. And there's another bad looking turnover for South Carolina. This one on Brenton Williams, who just checked in at the points. Junior college transfer out of Santa Fe College.
The only good thing about that turnover is a dead ball turnover.
That's true.
It wasn't alive when allowed Kentucky to go down and dunk.
Well, they might get the dunk here. And they did. That's their biggest lead, up 9. Teague has really played some fine defense on both point guards that have been in there for South Carolina.
Well, he has made tremendous progress. Teague has, Brad, in the last month of the season.
Just when I said that, he's got a hand check foul. Jimmy was saying at least it wasn't a transition slam off the turnover, but it didn't take long to get the same thing in the half-court game.
Yeah, they overload the left side and put 33 in a bad spot. Does he cheat high or cheat low? He cheated high, and Jones just makes the rim run.
Lee Cook keeps asking for it, but every time he gets on that low block, he gets pushed out by the Kentucky defense. He goes up and under, and it blocked. Davis blocks 2. The second time, though, is going to be a foul.
How quickly Anthony Davis can get off the floor. He controls that area around the rim. Look at him just stationed under the restricted arc. He goes and gets it and then jumps a second time without having to really gather. John Calipari didn't think this one here was, but he got him all over the wrist.
Yes, he did. So that'll send Geathers to the free throw line. Big freshman out of Georgetown, South Carolina. Big fella. 6'10", about 250 pounds. And in there right now because DeMontre Harris has got foul trouble. Probably wouldn't have played quite this early. But doing a good job. Hit both free throws. Miller underneath to Davis.
Brad, you cannot get unattached to Anthony Davis. You have to have a body on him the entire time. The entire time.
Davis didn't block that shot, but he certainly altered what would have been a shot. Terrence Jones pulls it down, and Davis throws it in on the other end. Another timeout. Wow, from end to end, that didn't take long. Teague, the lob, Davis, a mad handle and a throwdown. Jimmy, 4 of Kentucky's field goals have been dunks, and they have 6 assists on 7 makes. That's pretty good.
Anthony Davis is going to be a Kevin Garnett at the next level. His ability to run, defensive rebound, block shots. He's getting better every time I see him play.
I'm not even sure how he hung in the air long enough to grab that last one with a left hand before he threw down the dunk. And now there's another block shot, and he picks up the ball all in one motion. Terrence Jones, and that's dunk number 4.
Now, that's all on South Carolina. That is absolutely all on South Carolina. That transition defense is not running with a purpose. No head on a swivel, nobody checking bodies. They're just taking anything that Kentucky wants to do to them right now.
Just under 13 and a half and down 13. Not exactly what South Carolina had hoped for on their home floor. Gill, just a lazy pass inside, and DeMontre Harris couldn't handle it. And another South Carolina turnover. Darius Miller, 3.
I think Ellington's got to get in that lane. I mean, he's got to get himself where he's getting fouled in conference play.
And this ball knocked out of bounds by Kentucky. Terrence Jones running wild, so is Davis. This time just nobody guarding him.
And Brad, that's just too easy. I mean, he's catching the ball literally 6 feet from the rim on the first pass. There's no excuse for that.
Malik Cook on the outside. 3 came out. And Wiltshire just checked in with a rebound. Kentucky weaves it on the outside with 15 on the shot clock.
Now Wiltshire's a pick and pop guy where Davis is a pick and roll guy on the perimeter.
There's Wiltshire on the perimeter. 3 didn't go, and the rebound will come off to Harris, who is back in there already. And now Ellington will finally drive, but he missed his shot. Followed, though, by Harris.
I like the explosion of Ellington. The last time Kentucky was in here and got beat as the #1, Devin Downey was getting shots up on the rim. He wasn't making them, but he's allowing South Carolina to get on the glass.
Wiltshire with a hook shot. Kidd-Gilchrist will keep it alive with the offensive rebound. Wiltshire trying another one, and that was a goofy-looking shot that was knocked away from him. Leonard goes straight up with a 3. Well, needed that one. Kentucky takes a timeout.
And Brad, that all starts with Wiltshire just not being strong and physical with the ball in traffic. I mean, he caught the ball about 8 feet, and he opened his body up like you could get away with when you're in high school, not at this level. Wiltshire, a turnover. South Carolina runs it right down the other end, and boy, a good job of getting off of the penetrating dribble by Ellington, and Leonard straight up, straight down, feet lined up at the rim, and
he didn't waste any time taking that one.
Not at all.
5 points for the freshman out of Greenville. And his 34th three-pointer of the year brought John Calipari off the bench to call a Kentucky timeout. So the crowd back into a little bit for the Gamecocks as they've cut it back to 8 with 11-12 remaining in the first half. Of course, a couple of years ago, Jimmy and I were here. Devin Downey went off on a huge game, little point guard for South Carolina, and they stunned a Kentucky team that had only been #1 for, I don't know, what was it, Jimmy, about 28 hours, because they were #1 on a Monday. We came in here on a Tuesday, and just that quickly they were knocked from that perch, or at least beaten as a #1 team. And they stormed the court here at Colonial Life Arena.
I go right at DeMontre Harris, and that's exactly what they do, Brad. Darren Horn gambles and puts DeMontre Harris back in the game. Kentucky sniffed it out, and they go right at 24 in gray.
And that gamble didn't pay off because he's got 3 fouls now. And Anthony Davis, boy, can he cover the court. We'll talk about that when we come back. This guy can change a game. Anthony Davis already has 3 block shots in this game, 6 points and a couple of rebounds. Jimmy, he can cover the court.
Here's how he covers the court, Brad. There, you break down a basketball court, 4,700 square feet overall on the full court. Only 350 square feet in the half court. And inside that three-point line, about 1,100 square feet. And Anthony Davis, he controls about 270 square feet on the defensive end of the floor in that red area. He has such a great feel. He's never going to get pinned underneath the rim. He's going to get outside the rim, boom, and go get it. Quick off of his feet. He has timing. He has extension. He gets things up top. He can get 2s. He can get 3s. And he doesn't foul. Again, his foul ratio to his block shot ratio is terrific. And look what he's done this year. He has more block shots as an individual than teams like the Michigan States, the Dukes, the Missouris, the Ohio States that are out there right now. He would rank 39th overall right now as an individual in the team standings of 339 Division I teams.
He covers more square footage on a basketball court than the size of my first apartment in college.
He does.
Pretty good.
Mine too.
Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, who's not a bad freshman in his own right. That's his first points of the ball game.
And Brad, he plays on an outstanding defensive team. You take a great defensive-minded ball club that's well-coached from Calipari and put the best defender in college ball on it, that's how you lead the nation in a lot of categories.
And they do. There's a quick 3 again. And I think South Carolina's got to start feeding that young man if they can get him open like that. Damian Leonard, couple of 3s, keeping his team close.
I mean, Deron Lamb did just too lackadaisical recovering to a shooter.
Teague penetrates and lobs underneath. Jones missed it. He's a left-handed shooter and went up with the right hand to try to one-hand it.
I absolutely love, though, the strength that Terrence Jones is playing with in this ball game. He has to be the most physical guy around the rim for Kentucky the rest of the season. Davis is not a physical guy. Wilcher's not a physical guy. Terrence Jones has to take that command and run with it. There he is again,
He
man.
said, there's a catch with my left hand. I'm going with my favorite hand on this one. I'm not going to be denied, and he wasn't.
Well, playing like a bull, and when he does that, he looks like that preseason #1 player in the SEC.
He's got 9 points already here in the first half, and we still have half the half to go. Leonard trying to get free, fade away, the 2-point line, and this one is rebounded by Davis, and then he's immediately fouled by R.J. Slauson, who picks up his first. Fifth team foul on South Carolina. Leonard goes out, and Brenton Williams comes back into that guard spot. So Williams and Ellington, basically the 2-point guards, are both on the floor for the Gamecocks. Terrence Jones again. And this time pinned against the glass, block shot, but he got it back. That one blocked by Slauson. And this time they go to the free throw line. And this is the most authoritative, I think, that we have seen Terrence Jones play. I'm not talking about all year, but you and I have done a lot of Kentucky games. He's not messing around right now.
27-9 at LSU a couple of games ago. Came back with 11-6 against Tennessee. The one thing he needs to continue to work on is that free throw stroke. Brad, he's a left-handed guy, and he gets that ball in the middle of his body a little too much, almost to the right side. Watch where this ball is released from as it goes up. Look at that. It's on the right side of his body. He releases it from right in front of his face. So at some point, he actually loses vision of the rim on the stroke. That's not how you teach it.
He had 20 points in the first go-around with South Carolina at Rupp Arena. He's more than halfway there. He's got 11 in the first half. And the lead, likewise, is 11 for the Wildcats.
Kentucky's so long. When they hedge and extend, they really force you out another step.
Davis with the steal, got it ahead to Darius Miller as he just swatted it out of there. And on the other end, Kidd-Gilchrist gets stuffed by Slauson.
South Carolina plays a style defensively that it's tied to energy, and they have to play like their hair's on fire. And right now, they're not doing that. It's a gambling style, and if Kentucky makes 3 or 4 passes, they'll get any shot they want.
Jones, a little mishandle, but wisely just swatted it back out to his point guard. Davis right now is being guarded by the smallest guy on the court. I don't know why they don't get him the ball. Well, there it goes. The extra pass goes back to Kidd-Gilchrist, and he lost the handle. Who's it last touch by? Out of bounds to Kentucky. 3 seconds on the shot clock. And I'm sure that's what Coach Calipari was screaming to his troops. They're going to have to make a choice in a hurry. Darius Miller forces it at the buzzer, and it went in. Well, can't do much better than that. Such
a smart play, wasn't it? A good play call, and South Carolina they get pinned on the inside and allow the out-of-bounds man to throw it in and step to the corner.
And wisely, the senior knew that he had plenty of time to set his feet and fire. And he knocks it down, and the lead is back to 13. Here's Slauson, too strong. Got his own rebound, at least momentarily.
Right when there's 3 seconds on the shot clock, the out-of-bounds guy has time to throw it, step in, and get the shot off. If it's 2 seconds or less, probably don't have the time. South Carolina didn't realize it. Kentucky did. And a good shot by Darius Miller, the one guy that Conzo Martin told you and I last week they could not take Darius Miller off the floor in that USA basketball team this summer because of everything that he did.
Yep, he's just a glue guy. Doesn't get a lot of the accolades maybe that the sensational freshmen do, but he helped keep the team together. Here's Ellington, pull-up jumper. He has yet to score. He averages 11 a game. Teague trying to get it to Jones, a little too far behind him, and that is one of the few turnovers by Kentucky in the half. That is their first official one, in fact.
Marcus Teague has taken a lot of hits nationally. Is he good enough for Kentucky to win a national championship with? I say yes. Think about this. At this point in the SEC season, his assist-to-turnover ratio is better than where John Wall and Brandon Knight were. That's pretty good.
So 1.7. He'll take that. Here's another block shot underneath by Davis. That's number 4. As now he's only 3 away from the SEC freshman single-season record. 7:51 remaining. Davis doing it on both ends right now for Kentucky, and they lead by 13. Coach, we'll see you guys in 3 minutes. Don't forget, Jonathan just mentioned ESPN has a Big 12 showdown for you tonight. 8th-ranked Kansas, number 4 Missouri. Big game in the Big 12. Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV at 9 o'clock. Coverage starts with College Game Day, covered by State Farm at 8. That's when we're done here. We're 3 minutes away from halftime. And there's 2 guys that are some fantastic players leading their respective top 10 teams.
Kansas, Brett, is so dependent on that 17 points and 12 rebounds from Thomas Robinson. He and Tyshawn Taylor. Look at teams in the top 10 or 15 right now. There's hardly anyone that's more dependent on 2 guys than what Kansas is. Missouri with more balance. And what does Kansas do with Kim English tonight? And that's a guy that's could be taken advantage of on the defensive end, but he is going to be a problem for Kansas to match up with offensively.
Anthony Davis and Terrence Jones have 30 points between them. And we've still got 3 minutes to go in the half. Eric Smith making his first appearance in the last 4 games.
It's a Carolina team that needs 3-point shots. They're shooting 29%.
Yeah.
Right in conference play. So that has not been their strength.
Kidd-Gilchrist, great defense on the baseline. Gill's been the hottest player for South Carolina in the last couple of minutes. Lamb pulls down his miss, though. Terrence Jones double teamed. That leaves Lamb wide open for 3. Got it. His third 3 of the game, and he's in double figures.
Good strong pass by Jones, wasn't it? I mean, he was surrounded up by gray jerseys and strong enough not only to get the pass out, but where's the shooter?
Biggest lead of the half for Kentucky. Short on a 3 by Malik Cook, and out of bounds to the Cats with 2 minutes remaining in the half.
Remember I asked you in the one-on-one, can John Calipari keep his guys focused and get the message that this is a South Carolina team, only won 1 game? Yes, he did.
Answer
yes.
positive. Yeah. Here's Teague off the window, looking for a little help from his friends underneath, and he got it. Anthony Davis gets it. On the other end, Jones just sent it out into the cheerleader section.
I hear guys talk all the time about, block the shot and keep it in play. It's okay every once in a while to just send a message. Just send a message.
That went right over to the megaphone over there where the cheerleaders were. So Terrence Jones proving that Anthony Davis isn't the only guy that can reject one. And Kentucky has doubled South Carolina.
Shot clock should not have been reset, correct?
I don't think so. There it hit the rim.
Then it resets and starts ticking. Should be going down. It got stuck on 35.
Yeah, it did. Should be about 3 or 4 seconds off. We're going to say 3 and see if that's what they put it at. With a minute 37 remaining. 50-25. Kentucky, it's going to be the first time this year that they have been past the 40-point barrier in a first half of an SEC game, and they're well past it. They might end up with 5 more points before this half's over. Playing like the #1 team in the country, that's for sure. Richardson, ball just kind of dying on the rim. Gill keeps it alive. And now Cook underneath, rejected by Davis. Now I got to play on this one. Jimmy snatched it from me.
The first block shot in my hands from Anthony Davis this year. Might not be the last.
I like how you just couldn't let me have that one.
I mean, again, if you don't move Anthony Davis outside of the restricted arc, you're not going to get the shot up on the rim. It is not going to happen.
5 block shots, 113 on the season, and Shaq in his sights in the second half. Under a minute now. Smith with a pull-up jumper. And South Carolina's not getting any shots from the outside to go either, and that's not helping their cause.
But I like the decision by Smith. At least he pulled up from 12, 13 feet instead of taking it right into another shot block. You have to be able to make that shot against Kentucky this year if you're going to beat them. You're not going to get it at the rim, and they defend the 3 too well.
About a 15-second difference on the shot clock and the game clock. Kentucky 62% and leading by 25.
Calipari just continues to open up his offense against this matchup zone. Lets Anthony Davis run free.
Kidd-Gilchrist trying to lob it to his teammate Terrence Jones. Lamb picks up an errant South Carolina pass, and they'll get one last crack at it. Teague, and just off the front, the follow by Davis, as Kentucky continues to pour it out on the inside. Up 27 at halftime. Wow. 18 points for Anthony Davis. And you combine it with Terrence Jones, and between them, they have 9 more points than South Carolina has as a team. What can you say about the 2 big guys on the inside? They came to play with a purpose today. Staying motivated? I guess so. This guy with 18, including 5 block shots. Terrence Jones said, I want some of that. He was strong early and throughout the half. And it's all Kentucky at the break. 52-25. UPS halftime report now. Coach and Doug standing by, fellas. The SEC on ESPN, set to roll into the second half at Colonial Life Arena in our matchup between South Carolina and Kentucky. And it's all the top-ranked Cats trying to roll to their 15th straight win. They lead by 27. Brad Nessler and Jimmy Dykes, and Jimmy, the stuff Darren Horn stressed at the shoot-around today to his kids about protecting the rim hasn't worked out. 34 points between Terrence Jones and Anthony Davis.
Absolutely, because he was dead on in his scouting report about when Anthony Davis and Jones get around the rim, we have to be physical with them. His guys have not done it. They've allowed Jones and Davis to just rim jump and dunk and do anything they want offensively. And now if you're South Carolina, what do? You got DeMontre Harris back on the floor. Can he make a difference? But right now, the #1 team is looking all that.
Kentucky had 8 dunks in the first half. They had 12 assists on 17 made field goals, and they got 4 players that have at least 3 assists. It's a strong, I think. You and I have seen them a lot. I think that's the best first half we've seen from Kentucky so far this year.
I would agree.
And that's road or home at Rupp, where they're riding a 47-game home winning streak, and they host Florida on Tuesday night on Super Tuesday.
Well, they were clean offensively, weren't they? Kentucky, 12 assists, only 1 turnover.
And they start off with a foul to open the second half.
Well, not only do they have terrific balance in their top 6 or 7 guys, but where they score the ball from. Free throws today, so good at the power part of the floor, the 2-point part. 24 points in the paint, knocking down threes when they have to.
15 of 18 from the free throw line. Those threes are all Deron Lamb's. He had 3 of them in the first half. Gill rejected by Davis. Block number 6. Here comes Lamb the other way. And 1.
You know, Lamb is wiry strong. The starting 5, he's probably the 4th or 5th guy in terms of bench press strength. But he's wiry strong in traffic. I've seen him make those plays time and time again where you look like you can bump him off of the path. He just has a way to keep his head and his eyes, his chin really locked in on that rim. His body has to follow.
Shaq is 1 away. Shaq, if you're watching, I'm going to say it's going to fall this half. Your freshman shot blocking record from 1990.
And we're halfway through SEC play. Think about that.
Well, he's blocking at a better rate than Jarvis Bernardo did for Mississippi State when he had the sensational year blocking shots for Mississippi State.
A hard hedge again by Kentucky, by Jones and Davis. They force you out another step or 2 from where you normally want to be.
Extra pass goes out for a 3. Terrence Jones will pull it off the backside. Teague for 3. And the rebound is Davis, and he'll put it right back in for his 20th points. The lead goes out to 32. And there's another rejection by Davis. And that ties Shaquille O'Neal, the freshman SEC record right there. Ellington on the baseline, and Davis coming in to try to get another rebound, and he's going to be fouled by Slauson. Here's the record tire for the SEC freshman mark right there.
And Anthony Davis never had to move on that quick possession. If you're going to beat Kentucky, Brad, you have to bring him out of from beneath the rim into on-ball action and make them pay for Davis leaving the rim.
And Davis adds 2 more on a great dish from his teammate, Terrence Jones.
Jones finally had to drive right in this ball game, so he's not going to score. He goes to his second option, passing the basketball on the inside.
Slauson trying to drive inside, trying to slam against Davis, and they're going to call a foul on Anthony Davis. That's only his second. That was kind of a drive-by by Slauson. Somehow got around the big fella, drew the foul, missed the jam, but he'll try to get it from the free throw line. Slauson, a sophomore out of Charleston, and he is still scoreless. South Carolina's only shot 6 free throws, and they've only made half of them. Got the second.
That's been who they are in conference play, Brad. South Carolina only getting to the free throw stripe 10 times a game. Man, it's so hard. You can't score that ball around the rim and get the other team in foul trouble. And think about this. At the end of the season, partner, 40% of your offensive rebounds on the year come from rim shots.
Teague, nice adjustment in midair by Marcus Teague on the baseline.
What a nice adjustment by Kentucky to chew up this double team and attack baseline side.
Lead goes out to 35. Ellington got an open look, and he knocks down a three. His first basket.
I was really surprised today. Darren Horn talking about Bruce Ellington, and next year will he play football and basketball. He said he doesn't know. Steve Spurrier says he doesn't know either.
They each say he's going to pick one, but he's never said which one. Kind of puts both coaches on a bad spot.
I think so. Now, at some point, you have to get an answer from Bruce Ellington. It affects you in recruiting. It affects how you coach. It affects Steve Spurrier in spring football, certainly Darren Horn. And I think Bruce Ellington owes it to Steve Spurrier and Darren Horn to say, this is where I'm going next year.
It's 780 all-purpose yards on Steve Spurrier's football team this year as Kidd-Gilchrist missed a three-pointer. Cook goes coast to coast and allows to give it back outside. This guy's been their best shooter, but Leonard missed it, and now it's going to be a foul on Cook trying to go for the rebound.
You see the discipline of Anthony Davis? I mean, he just swallows up the drive and then keeps both feet on the ground and just becomes a stare down. He just stares him down and says, okay, go ahead and leave the floor. Watch Anthony Davis. Watch the discipline right here. Boom, stays on the floor, stays on the floor, stays on the floor. I think I'll do something else. That is terrific discipline by Anthony Davis.
The ball fakes were mostly him with the defensive head fakes. Here he is on the offensive end, getting it to Wiltshire on the baseline. Kidd-Gilchrist tips it to himself and goes up and in.
South Carolina trying to scramble the game up, trying to do something different defensively by doubling up Kentucky. Kentucky too strong for the double teams.
Four minutes into the second half, and it's all Wildcats, as it has been from the opening tip. South Carolina has never led. We haven't had a tie. It's just the Kentucky lead that keeps swelling. And now here's a steal by Davis.
See how Wiltshire had to switch out on a point guard, but Kentucky doesn't panic because Anthony Davis can erase a mistake if your five-man gets beat by one. Very few teams are doing it in college ball as well as Kentucky.
Davis right now at 22 points, 7 rebounds. As Wiltshire had his shot rejected. Darius Miller trying to feed it down on the baseline and lost out of bounds. But this guy, we've seen him be sensational from the get-go this year, and he has added to his single season shot blocking total, not to mention 7 rebounds and 22 points. Even without hot dogs and Kool-Aid, it's been a block party all year for this guy.
Brad, he's a game changer is what he is. He's the most impactful player, obviously on the defensive end of the floor that we have in college basketball. He might be the most impactful player overall when you consider double figures in scoring, and right now tied with Shaquille O'Neal for the most blocks by an SEC freshman. He's going to go way beyond that number, partner.
Shaq, if you're watching, look at how handsome you look as a youth back in 1990.
He did, didn't he? I watched Kevin Garnett last night go over 10,000 defensive rebounds in his NBA career. Anthony Davis is going to be in that mode of a player in the NBA. Same kind of body. Neither guy's ever going to be 270 or 75 pounds. Right. They are who they are. But he is a defensive rebounding demon, a shot blocker, a jump hook guy, can rim run as well as anyone. That's what the #1 pick overall looks like. You're watching him again tonight.
15 to play here, and Lamb is going to foul Damian Leonard. Damian Leonard will go to the free throw line. He's the leading scorer right now for South Carolina with 10. Good looking freshman.
You know, he had 3 made threes against Kentucky in Rupp. I think he had 15 points.
Yeah, he did.
6'4", really a natural scorer out of high school. There's some good young pieces on this floor. But you know what? Kentucky's got good young pieces on the floor just as well. They're just as young.
Their young pieces are better.
They are.
Right now. It's another one of the freshmen. Welcher getting more and more minutes as the season goes along. Kidd-Gilchrist flies in. Ooh, that is a hard landing. And a foul on the baseline as he hit the deck hard. That's the second or third spill he's taken today. Third foul on Malik Cook. Here's a real time and real sound. Ouch.
Well, that's where that shoulder can get into trouble on you. What I love about Kidd-Gilchrist also is defending his tail off, and he's getting to the free throw stripe a lot. He's not settling for threes anymore in his career. He'll still take one if you wide open and you back off of him and bait him into it sometimes, but he is in attack mode.
One of 5 players on this Kentucky team averaging double figures.
Brett, they have unbelievable balance, Kentucky does, in terms of the number of shots their starting 5 take. But he gets used, Kidd-Gilchrist does, on 24% of the possessions that he's on the floor. That's the most usage of any Kentucky player.
Missed both free throws. Might have had something to do with the bad landing he had, because normally he's a good free throw shooter. So South Carolina down 33. Needing a lot of offense in a hurry. Here's Lakeem Jackson, who just checked in for the Gamecock lineup. He was a starter a good portion of last year. Coming off the bench in this season. Ellington trying to go against Kidd-Gilchrist. Threw it up high. Davis made him alter his shot. 3 on the shot clock. Gill figures that out and airmails one. Shot clock violation against South Carolina. Tomorrow, ESPN, your home for ACC hoops. Miami and Duke get together. Jimmy's going to be there. It's Sunday night basketball. It's actually in the afternoon at 3 o'clock, though. Presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups on ESPNU, ESPN, and also streaming live on WatchESPN.com.
Mike Krzyzewski shakes up his starting lineup earlier this week. A little more defensive-minded. And that's a Miami team with Duran Scott, Malcolm Grant, big boy on the inside, Reggie Johnson, that could cause Duke problems tomorrow.
I'll be watching you as you're up in the bird's nest. Darius Miller with a 3. Folks that don't know, it's one of the very few places, maybe the only place, that we don't call the game from the floor or up in the rafters at Cameron Indoor. Be nice and hot in there for you.
It will be.
You'll be sweating through your shirt.
Speaking of nice and hot, Darius Miller continues to knock down over 50% of his threes in conference play.
Jackson misses, and Jones with a rebound. And he's going to bring it down himself.
Now, Brad, where's the weakness for Kentucky? That's what you have to start thinking about. It's not defensively. I mean, they're guarding the bounce. They're eliminating everything around the rim with Anthony Davis.
I guess if they got in foul trouble, but they don't ever seem to.
They don't. They defend without fouling. That's by design. That's driven home to these guys every day in practice. We can defend everything on the basketball court except the guy uncovered at the free throw stripe with 10 seconds to shoot it. Kentucky understands it, and they're not letting teams beat him from the stripe.
Well, we've seen how aggressive Davis has been defensively again today, and he's only got 2 fouls. And one of those was kind of iffy, or at least he thought it was. Demontre Harris got into early foul trouble for South Carolina, and that spelled some real problems for him in the first half. And now we do have a foul underneath. This one's going to be on Wilcher.
Brad, there's only 5 teams in the nation that have less experience than this 22-win, #1 ranked team, Kentucky Wildcats.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. And what's even more amazing is John Calipari is never mentioned in any conversation for National Coach of the Year. To do what he has done with a young, elitely talented group, to buy in defensively, sharing the ball offensively. There's 4 or 5 guys on this team that could average 20, 25 points if they were anywhere else. But for him to get those guys to buy into winning ball games, he's not mentioned in the National Coach of the Year because there's too many guys in the media and too many coaches out there that don't like John Calipari, and they're not going to push for him or bring him up, or bring his name up.
Well, you know, Darren Horn said to us today at the shoot-around, he said, you know, Cal doesn't get enough credit. They are so great defensively because he coaches them to be that great defensively. And you're right, he gets blue-chip 5-star recruits, and everybody thinks all you have to do is roll the ball out there, and that just doesn't, it's not how it works.
Not at all.
One of only 2 coaches who have taken 3 different teams to being the #1 team in the country. And right now they are. They're riding a 14-game winning streak that's about to become 15. Matter of fact, Frank McGuire, who coached here, is the only other guy that had 3 #1 teams. Leonard just hoisted a three-pointer with a little over 12 minutes to go. Still, no shots will fall, even on open looks right now for South Carolina.
You know, the other thing about this Kentucky team, I don't think he's got a bunch of guys that need to be stroked. I mean, he's very truthful in the evaluation and timeouts and in practices. He is driving these guys, and he's not telling them how good they are. A lot of times with young guys that are highly recruited, you have to do that. Not this bunch.
Jones rejected by Harris. Nice job by DeMontre Harris, who's the 5th best shot blocker in the conference. But for South Carolina, one of those nights where you go, we're trying everything, and it's just not working. Kentucky superfan Bob Wiggins taking in his 1,530th game in his 59 years of watching Kentucky basketball, and it's his birthday, number 85. Happy birthday, Bob. He has seen it all, or at least most of it, including what Anthony Davis continues to do, including a new single-season SEC freshman block record, having passed Shaquille O'Neal. 8 block shots for Anthony. He's on the bench right now currently with 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 blocks. I'd like to see him come off the bench because there's only been one triple-double in Kentucky basketball history, as Eloy Vargas, the guy that's in there in his spot, drives in for an easy 2.
And Bob Wiggins and I were in the building that night when it happened. Chris Mills, when I was an assistant coach at Kentucky, went for a triple-double.
Back in the 88-89 season. Only time it's ever been done. And when you're talking about 2,074 wins, you'd think there'd be another one along the way, but there hasn't been. And maybe there's not going to be one tonight either, because possibly Anthony Davis' night's done. Not sure with this big a lead. 40-point cushion with 9 minutes to play, whether we'll see him again or not.
Brad, if you cast your vote for National Player of the Year based upon both ends of the floor, and I think we always talk about the impact guys have on both ends of the floor, clearly to me, Anthony Davis and Thomas Robinson from Kansas are the 2 guys out in front. Thomas Robinson dominates the defensive backboard. He's a load on the offensive end, and Anthony Davis does the same thing for his ball club in even a more impactful way.
Right now, Kentucky's gone to its bench with their 2 big guys who have played as well as we've seen all year on the bench, and Darius Miller gets the foul. But the tone was set early by Terrence Jones, really, and then Anthony Davis picked up steam, took over. Jones 16 points in the first half, none in the second half, but those 2 guys have been dominant performers again in what is a 40-point lead right now. In South Carolina, Anthony Gills missed all his free throws.
How do you play Kentucky? I think they've answered the question about being physical with him and push him and shove him and make it a strength game. They can handle that now.
LSU did that too,
yeah.
and that didn't work.
You certainly can't run with him, I don't think.
No.
And can you get Anthony Davis in foul trouble? You'd love to, but he's too smart. He's too well skilled to get himself in foul trouble.
I wonder if we find out more on Tuesday night against Florida.
You will. I think so.
Wiltshire on a drive, rejected by Harris, but it's going to be goaltended.
Now, what will Billy Donovan do to Anthony Davis? Billy Donovan goes with 4 small guys and 1 big.
John Calipari said to you and I today at the shoot-around, he just picked a number out, and I'm sure it's going to be close. He goes, they're going to take 38 threes on us on Tuesday night.
Yeah, they very well could.
Here's a fadeaway and a nice shot by Malik Cook. His first field goal of the second half. 8 minutes remaining. All Kentucky, 75-36.
Man, there's nothing harder than to be on your home floor in front of your home crowd and be down 40 points. It's just tough on them. It's tough on the kids. It's tough on the coaching staff.
Tough on the fans.
Sure it is.
Cook, an air ball, picked out of the air by Beckham.
Might get a chance at your triple-double. Look who's checking in.
Well, there's hope.
John Calipari doesn't go to his 9th, 10th, and 11th guy just because they're eligible and they've made the trip. You got to prove it to him in practice that you're worthy of some minutes.
There's Beckham rejected this time by Harris on a clean block. And now Cook being hounded in the backcourt, but he gets it ahead to Smith.
Well, there's a maturity level about Kentucky. Even today in the shoot-around, man, everybody was dialed in. If you didn't have a program and didn't know how young this team was, they handled themselves right now about like a bunch of juniors and seniors. Do you agree?
Yep, especially with a performance this good on the road. South Carolina throws it away. Number 23 is coming back in. Might see a little bit of history before this one's over. Stick around.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Audi, Truth in Engineering.
Coming up when we're done, Kansas and Missouri. Big battle in the Big 12. Number 8 and number 4. Saturday primetime presented by DirecTV. Starts at 9 o'clock with a tip coverage, though, with College Game Day. Reese and the guys. Starts with State Farm pregame at 8 o'clock. There's 2 of the stars you'll be watching in that game tonight.
Right, if Kansas were to go into that building tonight with all that venom and anger and animosity that Missouri's going to throw at them and win that game, that would be the biggest statement so far in college basketball. And that's a very, very tough assignment for Kansas tonight. If Bill Self can go in there and pull that thing off, he moves to the top of the list in National Coach of the Year.
Davis rejected the inbounds pass. It came free enough to get a shot on the inside by Cook, but he missed it. Now Deron Lamb and Kidd-Gilchrist out at the points.
Look at that ball game after us. Marcus Denman comes in only making 5 out of his last 30 or 31, I think, from the three-point line. He's a much better shooter than that. A kid that has just made himself stay in the gym over the course of his career. He could break out of that shooting slump in a hurry.
Wiltshire, a nice move with the left hand, but off the mark, and the rebound is Harris.
I can't see Anthony Davis being in this ball game much past the next TV timeout. I can tell you that. Maybe 2 more minutes at the most. What do you think?
Yeah. Worst loss that South Carolina's ever suffered here was 5 years ago to Kentucky, 87-49. And this one's got that same feel to it.
You hear that chant in the arena?
Go Big Blue. There's a lot of Kentucky fans in here. Here's Davis short on a hook shot. And a three-pointer goes for Brenton Williams, his first basket of the ball game. And that might be about it, as Eloy Vargas is off the bench again. And I think maybe John Calipari might have put Anthony Davis in, thinking maybe there's a quick double block shot all in one possession. Maybe he could get a rebound, the triple-double. But at this point, with the way this game's gone, there's no reason to leave him in there. Lamb was 16 now. He's perfect from the floor. Durant hit 3 threes in the first half, a couple of 2s in this half, and all of his free throws. That's a perfect night.
Yes, it is. No one wants the game to stop more right now than John Calipari and get Anthony Davis off the floor. And I'll be shocked if Vargas doesn't check in for Davis.
Whoa, look out.
That's why, right there.
That's why you don't want him out there.
Right there. The Big Blue Nation holds their breath while Anthony Davis rises back up, and there's the stoppage in play that will get Anthony Davis off the floor. You don't see him do this often, partner, do you?
Nope, got up in the air.
Yeah, be the first guy off the floor. He just doesn't do it.
Actually landed pretty good. He's got those long arms. He got one down and then got his foot planted before he landed completely on his back. And now I'm sure he's coming out. And there comes Vargas, and there goes Davis. And he's still got a smile on his face, so that's a good thing to see.
But as I look around, I see a lot of South Carolina fans giving him a round of applause. They appreciate the quality of play that this young man brought to the floor tonight.
It's hard not to watch him and go, just at times just go, wow. And it's fun to see somebody that can play that good on both ends of the floor.
If if you're an NBA team and you're sending somebody to watch Anthony Davis play to decide where you should take him in the draft,
I don't think you have
that
to
is
send
wasted money.
Yeah, I know.
That is wasted money.
I said that to you during one of the breaks. I don't have to be an NBA scout. I've seen him enough in person that I don't have to come 17 times to watch him play.
No, you'd be surprised how many teams will do it, though.
Well, they got those travel per diems and all that stuff. They got to send him somewhere.
When it's all said and done, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist will be a lottery pick as well. And Terrence Jones may very well be a first-round guy. That's who they're coming to focus in on now. They know who number 1 is.
Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, that's the reason they like him.
Maybe that's an unguardable shot for him at the next level at 6'7", the ability to go somewhere with his bounce and then bam, straight up into a jump shot.
Three and a half to play. South Carolina's going to fall to 9-13, 1-7 in the SEC, and Kentucky will go to 9-0. Leonard's done a nice job, and that is a career high for Damian Leonard. 17 points, including 4 3-pointers.
He's going to be a good player. I look at what Darren Horn has with Leonard. And DeMontre Harris is just a sophomore. Depending on what Bruce Ellington does, they just got hit in the nose today, time and time again.
Eric Smith trying to save it on the baseline. Still loose, and he will find a handle. And he's going all the way in. Nice drive by Eric Smith, coast to coast.
Total domination by Kentucky, which is what John Calipari wanted to see. Heading into that ball game Tuesday night against Florida, he wants his guys to stay on that edge, man, of playing tough, playing smart, and sharing the ball, being a defensive juggernaut. All those things they brought to Columbia, South Carolina with them, they're going to be able to put right back on the plane and take back to Lexington.
Nice scoop drive by Hakeem Jackson. Meanwhile, Billy Donovan wanted to stay within striking distance of Kentucky. He did that today with a win over Vanderbilt. So that sets up the showdown on Super Tuesday from Rupp Arena, where the Cats have won 47 straight. Well, Deron Lamb missed one, but Wilcher didn't. And we're down to 1:35 to go. We may not get another stoppage of play here under the 4-minute mark as Damian Leonard continues to add to his career high.
Kentucky
19
has really lost interest in defending, haven't they, the last couple of minutes? Well, it's completely lost interest.
I think I would be too. With an 83-49 lead, sometimes your focus can waver. Wilcher, Jackson with a rebound. And the big guy goes all the way with the left hand. Wilcher takes it off the miss, and we're under a minute.
Well, I was impressed with Ohio State today, watching them on the road. And I'm more impressed with Kentucky again. And we won't know who the best team is for sure until we get in that bracket and start playing it off. But these guys right here, they guard you hard, and they're hard to guard, and that's a tough combination.
And Wilcher, who might be a guy that could start for a lot of teams in the country, and all of a sudden, he's got 12 points.
Kansas, Missouri, man, coming up. I'm going to be driving to...
It'll be closer than this one, folks. I promise you.
Driving to Durham, getting ready for Duke Miami tomorrow. Listen to that thing on the radio. What a ball game we're getting ready to have after game day coming up right after us. Kansas and Missouri.
Nice
wow.
tease, Jimmy. That's an excellent tease. That's what we call it in the business, folks. But college game day with Reese and the guys is first. And it is coming up in less than 10 seconds. As Kentucky, 9-0 start. First time in 7 years they've been that good. They went 10-0 that year. That team finished 14-2 and won the regular season SEC title. This looks like a team that could do it as well. New freshman SEC shot block record by that young man. And he almost had a triple-double again. And it was all Kentucky from the opening tip as they win it 86-79. 86-52 is the final score. That's going to wrap it up for us. Coming up next, College Game Day covered by State Farm, followed by Kansas and Missouri. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Jimmy Dykes and our entire ESPN crew, Brad Nessler saying so long from Columbia, South Carolina, where the Cats continue to roll. 86-52. The #1 team in the country goes to 23-1, 4-1 on the road, 9-0 in SEC play. Good night from Columbia as we head back to the studio.